Welcome to Bold Talk series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with KP, a board member at many companies and a venture partner at Epi VC. KP, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you, man?
Thanks for having me. And for those who wonder what KP stands for, it's not really a known problem, but it's Konstantinos Papamiltiadis. But I wanted to be kind to Epi, and we decided that he can call me KP for the duration of this call.
Yeah, I was rehearsing how I'm going to pronounce it.
Well, like every time you say my name, it's probably going to exhaust the time we have for this conversation. So let's focus on the meaty stuff rather than you trying to pronounce my name every time.
God forbid I was going to pronounce your name with a glass of wine, so that would
Totally appropriate.
KP, so great seeing you. Thanks for joining in this short format conversation. Let's start first with the earliest memories building something, not just professionally, but as a kid or young adult. How did that instinct grow into a passion of scaling ecosystems? I mean, you're a board member of many companies, and you're investing in a venture partner at Perion. Love to get that journey from you.
Well, I don't know if they are strongly correlated, but I'm sure there's some, causation there. But the earliest memory I have of me playing is behind my mom's sofa or couch, with my Legos. And, it wasn't really the type of Legos that you buy, like, where there is a theme around it. It was just, different types of bricks and different types of colors, sizes, and stuff like that, that I was trying to put together and make something meaningful around them. And whether it was a house, whether it was, something that felt like a vehicle or something like that. So there was this idea of trying to bring different pieces of a puzzle together. Only this time the puzzle is like 3-dimensional, and make something out of it. And I think that was the curiosity and the creativity that somehow guided me throughout my career. And combining those type of attributes or talents or desire to be creative, but build something, and then eventually something that scale, is probably where it all started, behind someone's couch.
Yeah, that's amazing. I always tell people, just go back and just go back in when you were a kid and like 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, and just see yourself in that moment, what you truly were doing. And that's what I would say, that's the beginning of that journey. We can find that passion and that why later in a stage, if that is not clear to you. But you held both chief product officers and chief technology officer roles. What did that balance act teach you about vision and execution, and how has it shaped to see yourself as a builder?
Yeah, especially because, I was in a startup. This idea of trying to inspire the team, trying to, I guess, motivate them towards something that in the moment appeared to be bold and disruptive and unproven, was definitely, a big challenge. But at the same time, having worked for bigger companies, I was almost convinced that no matter what the vision may be, at the end of the day, is the execution that matters the most, right? And having the desire to hustle, the desire to iterate, and maybe the lack of, let's say, luxury when it comes to failure, considering the limited resources that we have, really put a lot of pressure on us to focus on execution and do it the right way. But, again, in this type of environment, you cannot just focus on execution. You still need to have a very strong and bold vision if you want to be successful. And I think that balance was always something that we had to work on a daily basis towards achieving the end goal.
Yeah, very well said. So KP, you spent quite amount of time at Meta during some of its most intense
Yeah.
transformative years, I would say. Um, how did that experience change you, not just as a leader, but as a person who you are?
Well, I mean, 9 years at Meta feels like a lifetime, right? And I was fortunate enough to join the organization when it was like 4 something thousand people, and by the time I left, we were already 80,000. So you can imagine that the company and myself went through a growth curve that was very steep and very tense, right? So dealing with that level of intensity that also come from the scale that we had to operate with the number of people on the platform, the number of products that we were shipping, and the desire to innovate, which was constant. It was, like a very rewarding period of time for me, because I was at the point also that I wanted to learn more things and I wanted to flex muscles in different dimensions. But it was also rewarding because the impact that we had at the global scale was, I would say, hard to find anywhere else, at least within my lifetime. Um, and I'm gonna pause there because like I don't want to get too emotional about the time I spent.
But you can share. You can still share a few things. But completely understand. So it's incredibly amazing. I mean, I was reading a lot of things about when was the where's the who's the CEO, the lady of the
Miss Sandberg?
yeah, Sandberg, yeah, and when she joined in and she helped Zuckerberg and scale an operation and this incredible, amazing things that she's brought in. But I'm sure like this kind of experience you got through there, you've gone through some, the highs and the lows of the company, the scrutiny they do in the Cambridge Analytica, moving to another high performance company, which is Snap, and leaving Meta for augmented reality at the stage was quite a bold move, I should say. Uh, what what made you say yes, and
Yeah.
how did you prepare yourself mentally to take to take that journey?
Look, I always consider myself to be like a builder, but a builder of platforms. And the reason I was so fascinated about platforms is because they become enablers of others.
Mm,
And like that allows you to reach scale that is unprecedented, right? Even if you think about it, like no matter how many resources you have, you cannot solve everybody's problems, right? But if you build a platform that enables others to build solutions on top of that platform, then like your scale increases even more. The impact you have in the society increases even more. And so for me, like this 9 years at Facebook have taught me a lot of things about how to build and scale great platforms. But as you said, during the Cambridge Analytica days, I also figured out that there are things that you can do to do that responsibly, and to
mm,
do it, like with, like users' privacy and the utmost, like attention to their data, which, like creates the trust and the chances that this platform is going to be sustainable down the line increase dramatically, right?
mm,
And so for me, like transitioning from Meta, having accumulated all this knowledge and the experiences, was in my mind more like a second chance to do it right. But to do it right, leveraging a technology that I believe to be, like maybe not there yet, but down the line, one of the next computing platforms that has the opportunity to reach, like tremendous rates and solve problems for a lot of people. So AR, which obviously stands for augmented reality, has a form factor as we have experienced through the phone, both, like on platforms like Instagram, but mostly on Snapchat these days, that allows people to express themselves and communicate in ways that are authentic and go beyond just, like what the camera can do, right? But for me, the future where people wear smart glasses, spectacles, as we used to call them, like at Snapchat, is 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 probably near to or closer to what we think, but it's a future that to me felt very exciting
Mhm.
because those glasses, we have seen versions of them powered by AI, but with computer vision and with smart displays, can further amplify what people can do, not just at home, but when they're out and about, right? And Snap's commitment and Evan Spiegel's commitment to this technology was inspiring enough for me to make that bold move.
Yeah, very well said. I remember I was running a boutique advertising agency, and we were in New York, and we were playing around in those early days, about 15 years plus. It was a blip part, these applications and the mobile.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, this is incredibly amazing, but it's so early, it's like, and I always remember that, being a pioneers, man, you get stabbed in the back big time. But it's interesting because then from there, I was really fascinated by it. And I said, you know what? This could be the future, but where's that future is going to come? Who is going to be this major player? And we've seen, like, in AR, VR, you've seen these players coming in, but they're not really committed to make that real dent, right? And then you see, like, Meta take that over also with the Quest 3, and then the latest part, like Apple with Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Technology stack that is in these technologies is incredibly amazing. What do you think we're heading with the with spatial computing in general, not just in AR component, but in overall in terms of spatial computing?
Look, I honestly believe in the form factor that those devices introduce, right? But at the same time, we need to be cognizant that some of those devices and the way the technology is available right now, or what the current technology basically allows us to do, we have limitations that create and limitation on the hardware primarily that create, I think, how should I say it? The type of hardware that is not socially acceptable for you to walk around the street, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, what I'm saying is that even if um, the technology advances, if the hardware remains as such, it's hardly, like it's almost impossible, I would say, to see people are walking around on a Quest 3 or an Apple Vision Pro, right?
Mhm.
This is never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But you can see people walking around wearing the Ray-Bans, and it's perfectly acceptable to do that. The design of the lenses, the weight of like the glasses, the
The look.
functionality that
Yeah.
the look, right? Um, I think suggests that this is a form factor that's socially acceptable. I don't know if you remember, but the first time, like this type of glasses were available, I think Snapchat Spectacles 1 was, I think, probably the very first of this kind. The idea of having cameras on your, like hardware felt a little bit weird, right?
Yeah.
But now, like you see people walking around with, like the Ray-Bans, the Meta Ray-Bans with two cameras, and like I think no one is really bothered because they
Yeah.
understand how the technology is used and what's the purpose of those cameras. And so I think that's a step in the right direction. And I think as the technology evolves, and then the displays become thinner, and
Mhm.
like the resolution of what you can see on the actual display becomes such that it's like high definition, or it doesn't cause any sort of nausea and stuff like that. Then you're gonna see this type of device becoming cheaper and a lot more um, I think, convenient for people to buy and replace whatever other glasses that they're wearing, whether it's sunglasses or eyesight glasses.
Yeah.
The same way that I think the phones evolved and now you put them in your pocket, or you you
Yeah.
hold them, like uh,
Now the
in your hands,
grandmas are using it, right? So
right? You wouldn't walk around with one of those phones that probably you and I were, like first acquainted when we
yeah,
talked about the phone with the
yeah,
rounded dial, right?
yeah.
But you walk around with your mobile phone and it's considered perfectly
Perfectly fine.
normal.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how society changes with the time. Obviously, the time is very important. I remember my uncle in New York bought this the the first it was a car phone. It was not even a cold mobile phone. It was a car phone. It was like big, and he was carrying on like I remember he used to pay like $10 a minute. It's like look at these
Insane.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
so the future looks bright. Shall we say the future looks bright, KP?
I mean, for me, yes. I mean, I'm a technologist at heart, right? I would be probably the last person to say, "Oh my
To say
God,
no.
the times that we live." Like, I'm scared of the future. No, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited because I trust humanity and the people involved in bringing those emerging technologies to the market. And I'm specifically talking about AI right now. That they're gonna be responsible and thoughtful in the
Mm,
way they roll these things out. And I think, like the experience that we have accumulated, not just me personally, but I think everybody that has been involved with some emerging technology in the past gives me hope that those things are tools. And when you put those tools in the service of humanity, there is always more opportunity
yeah,
rather than risk.
yeah. I mean, we should take it with an attitude of obviously being also careful of what's on the other side, but with certainly with an attitude that this will give us a better direction. I truly believe that humans at heart their intention are good, and I think that
Yeah.
we prevail in this noisy environment. I would say, um, KP, you build businesses with the products that now reach billions. What kind of mindset do you think someone needs to develop or acquire uh, uh, in order to operate in that level?
I mean, there are definitely two things that come to mind. The first one has to do with the responsibility, right? Like we talked before, like
Mhm.
if you're designing for something that has the potential to scale, you got to do it thoughtfully. You cannot assume that people's understanding of the technology or people's use of the product will be proficient or will be with deep awareness about the risks associated with it, right? And so it's very important to design with that sort of like understanding in mind that the savviness of the audience is going to decline from the early adopters all the way to people that are less tech like educated, right? And you need to provide all those safeguards and the the tools, I think, around that product that will let everybody feel in full control of the experience and like how they're using the product. And the second thing is more about this idea of designing something that is ready to scale without making compromises down the line, right? I see a lot of uh, people that are trying to cut corners, trying to like build something without necessarily thinking how would that like look like if it's about to scale. So I think designing with this idea that down the line it would scale makes total sense in my mind, right? If you make early decisions even about like the architecture like of your software or the behaviors that you want to allow or the use cases that you want to allow, but thinking about scale down the line, I think you are making better decisions that improve the product even with the current, like level of
Mhm.
adoption.
Yeah, very well said. I'm really loving this conversation. I can go on, but just a short format. Just a short form. We're gonna keep it for the next time,
Great. Short and
uh,
sweet.
if we may. Yeah. What does the word bold mean to you, KP?
I think bold means having strong conviction. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this conviction is not informed, right? Because I think a lot of people have this idea in mind that if your gut instincts um, suggest something, that you definitely need to follow your gut, and like you shouldn't consult other sources. In my mind, like this is like halfway through, like of being successful, um, being bold, while at the same time being aware of your own blind spots and trying to understand whether there are data available that will inform your perspective, or whether there are people out there that could come and help you refine what your understanding of the opportunities, but also what the associated risks may be. I think ultimately allows you to be even bolder down the line, right? Because that sort of conviction comes to be even stronger with the backing up of the data.
Yeah, very well said. Conviction, but always being aware of your blind spots. This is a way to go, and truly appreciate, because this is people need to hear this. People need to know, because again, it's not about just I'm going to do it. I have a passion for to do it, and I can feel it. But how are you going to do it? And actually, I learned this is also from one of my mentors. He said, it's not just having a mentor; it's about picking the right mentor. So how do you do
Absolutely.
it is the key.
Absolutely.
KP, next time we'll do it over the drinks, hopefully somewhere. And in this time, thank you very much. Truly appreciate your time. I truly enjoyed this conversation. Be great and be bold always. Take care.
Thank you.